Hello YouTube. I am finally back. It took me a little while to recover from all the holidays and get everything taken care of, but we're back and going to try to do a little video tonight. We've got some Dozier knives to look at. We've got zero tolerance, and we've got some knife tips for those of you that are doing the Sugar Creek Forge build along. And so let's dive right in and get with it. I have a couple of Dozier knives. These are called the Dozier Personal, both of them. This one is a spear point, and this one's in D2, and then this one is a Warncliffe, and it's in CTX XHP. I'll make sure I get it right. And I really like this knife. It came with the same style sheath as this that Dozier makes. Whoops. And they're extremely good sheaths. Bob Dozier is just great with Kydex. He really can make some nice stuff. You see it's got a thumb ramp on it. It's easy to take out. It sits on the belt here at about a 45, so it's extremely easy to get at. I like to wear this style sheath around the house when we go to the farm or anywhere like that. Obviously, living in the city, you can't really wear stuff like this. You have to be conscious of that. So I made a Kydex sheath for it, a neck sheath, and it just disappears and there when I need it. I've been able to play with it for a couple weeks since I made the sheath, and this this steel is extremely impressive. It takes a very fine edge. It's got a good chunk of carbon in it. It's I'll have to look it up. I'm not even going to quote it because I can't remember. I'm sure somebody will either put it in the responses, or I'll put it in there afterwards, the exact makeup. I've heard it referred to as D2 on steroids, basically. It's hard. It was it took me a while to sharpen this to really get it where I wanted. It was delivered sharp. There was nothing wrong with the edge, but you know how fanatical I am, so of course I had to change it, and it'll cut hair, it'll do whatever you want to do. Strangely enough, although I keep losing, I don't have any losing lottery tickets here tonight, so we can't test those. What I'm going to do, I'll do a more in-depth study of these, and we're gonna do a head-to-head comparison. We're going to actually compare the two side by side. And my assistant here is sliding me one of our great losers. Thank you, state of Georgia, again. Another $5 down the drain. But one of these days when we win, oh boy. But as you can see, and this is much thinner paper than that. Of course, they're cheap. They're not going to make it too sturdy. But I think you can see just how sharp that knife is. You could, if you could hold it steady enough, you can really just whittle a tiny little sliver off of it. There's a lot to like about Dozier knives. He's been doing it a long time. He really has it down, and I really like his philosophy. What Bob Dozier decided to do in the direction he decided to go years ago, he can certainly do art knives. He does them. He does full polish. He does everything that any of his customers request. But by and large, he makes working knives to be used. Not so much to be collected, but to actually be used. And he's got a lot of really good very understated features in his knives that I think work really well, and I'd like to go over some of them with this knife. The handle is extremely comfortable. Now, like Kylie Harris, I have big hands, and that comes all, if that comes all the way out on me, I can guarantee you on most people there'll be even more room. It's kind of oval in cross section. It's slender, but it's hand filling at the same time. You can really lock it in. You can't move that. It's just right there. I can't turn it no matter how hard I try. There's a lot of understated things, as I said, that I really like, and one of them are these. Now, I don't like finger grooves, but I don't classify these as finger grooves. I call them finger bumps. That's just my own term. They're just little suggestions of finger grooves. They don't really lock your hand in place. I mean, you can move your hand around there very comfortably. You can hold it backwards, you know, chest lever grip, reverse grip, any grip that you want, and they really don't bother your hand, but they are just extremely comfortable. It's almost like that thing was custom made for me. He uses a hollow grind, but it's very subdued. It's not a deep, gouged out hollow grind with a hugely defined line here. It's just a nice, gentle taper all the way down. And it's almost like having a convex edge, except with just a little dip in here. And it, you know, as you can see, it just makes for an extremely sharp edge. I don't have any hair to speak of on my arms, or I'd show you, as John Davis talks about it. We'll tree top or cut the tops off the hair, and it'll certainly take hair off your arm with just no effort at all. I've been using it on cardboard, on everything, and we're going to cut some here in a second, and it's going to hold an edge a long time. I've been promising John Davis for a long time that I'm going to get the 3/8 inch hemp rope or whatever it's made out of, and do the same test he does. This is one I definitely want to test on that. All of the, I checked with Dozier, all of the knives that they do, whether D2 or in this, are Rockwell at 60. So they're both the same. It's, you know, it's not 65 or 69. It's still 60 is pretty high, and that should make for an extremely tough steel. Let's try our poor old long-suffering piece of wood here. Oh wow! I can take, and that cut is what, about at least 2 inches long, and there's no resistance. I can cut it slap in half and nothing. That's a lot of fun. Of course, I got to clean all this up as soon as we're done. And we've got, in place of rope tonight, we've at least got some cardboard. So let's take this down. I got to tell you, I can't feel this blade going through here. There's just no resistance whatsoever. You know, on some knives you kind of pull and you tug, and look at this. I can't even feel it. That's almost like using a regular thin blade, you know, utility knife. It is that little bit of resistance. And I'm not going to cut tons of this tonight because we will be rope testing this, which I think is more stressful on the edge and will give it a much better test. And frankly, I don't expect to do a lot of damage to it, but I just wanted to try it out. As with all our tests, it's right here in front of you for the first time. I don't pre-test any of this because I want you to see it just as I see it. But I'm really liking this. Alright, we're getting too close to the fingers. Let's go back to our paper. No difference, none at all. Just, whoops, caught it on the edge there. Make sure we haven't got any catches. I didn't think we did. Nope. I really like that. These are just a great size knife for a neck knife like this, for more discreet carry, or in this sheath. You just can't beat this thing. Either one of these would be great. If I had to choose one or the other, I think I would take this Wharncliffe blade, simply because of this finer point. I think it's more useful. Another thing that I want to point out on this that's very subtle is right at the end, a lot of Wharncliffes have a perfectly straight bottom. And this has just a little bit of back curve, a little bit of upsweep, and that makes all the difference in the world when you're using it. It makes it so much easier to use. Just ridiculously nice. So that's that, and we will do in-depth tests on both of those. Just go ahead and stick this in here. And the other one is, this is the ZT551, and this particular one's in LMAX. And you've actually seen this one test, a test done on it before. John Davis tested this one, I don't know, I guess, I think it was a while back. When I got it from John, it was extremely sharp. It had a good polished edge on it. I went ahead, because of the blade shape and because the blade's relatively thick and wide, I went ahead and convex this. And I haven't done any cutting other than just to test it after I put the convex on it. So what you're seeing is exactly what I'm learning right now. I haven't cut anything with it. And it's going right through there. We've got a nice big old, look at this knot right here. See it? Let's see if we can circumvent that. No, we'll just cut the whole thing off. So, very nice performance. Bite, I mean, I could just go right on through there if I wanted to. And the same with this knife. Even way back here, if you can see, it just you could basically, even with all that back pressure here, you could just cut that in half. So now that it's convex, I'm going to do a complete test on this, and I'm going to rope test this one too. Let's do just a touch of cardboard. Not a lot of resistance with the convex edge. Let me get around this tape on this. There's a little bit more resistance in the Dozier, but boy, not much. The handle, surprisingly enough, is pretty comfortable, even though it's big, and I think because it's hand filling. Really like it. I've adopted this as my daily carry, but really haven't cut much with it yet. I always have a neck knife and a pocket knife. This will be my, I guess you'd call, backup tactical folder, etc. And I don't know if I haven't left me much in the way of paper, but as you can see, the little tiny pieces that I have left, it'll shave them right in half. So we'll be doing a test with that. Another thing about Dozier knives, to go back to them for a minute, they're very reasonably priced for what you get. I think for the fit and finish are just immaculate. I mean, both of these, you know, the grind lines are perfect, everything meets. They're the same on the top. You know, the plunges meet exactly the same. Just beautiful, slim, well done, well thought out blades. And that one's the same way. It just melts through that stuff. I think that anyone that's looking for a straight knife rather than a folder would be well served with those. Bob makes some incredible folders. Now those have risen in price. They're just not that cheap, and understandably so. There's a lot of work that he puts in them. You know, there's a lot of precision in them, but certainly they're an amazing tool, and I highly recommend them if you want to go that route. So another thing I'd like to show you is the other day, and I apologize for not getting this out there sooner. I watched Tim on Sugar Creek Forge. He was showing you how to file a knife and showing you how to establish the plunge line on the side. And one thing that I wanted to show you, and let's see, I think this will be the best, is let's say that this was just a flat full piece of steel here that we were going to grind, and this was going to eventually be the blade edge. One of the things you can do to make sure that you hit the edge correctly, and actually in the center of this, and there's two ways to do this. One, you can take a pair of calipers, you can measure the distance of the blade, then cut it in half your distance. And almost all calipers like this have pretty sharp, hard, machined edges, and they're right here. They'll really hold up well. So you can just put one side against there, and then with that edge, you can go right down it. And you can scribe a line right in the middle of the blade, all the way down, so that you can file to that line, and that will give you a perfect center line. The other thing you can do, and we'll turn this over now, pretend this is not ground, is you can measure the distance up. That, you know, how high do you want your grind to go, and you run this along the bottom, and then you do the same thing. You would scribe that line along there. You can also, I've done it just by holding a good, they make a couple different size Sharpies, and they make some small ultra-fine Sharpies, and you can just hold it on there in the center and just run it down like that, using your finger on the side here as a guide, even like that, just so you've got a mark to go to on that. You can take a ruler and take the Sharpie and draw the lines on the side, and that way you can kind of set your file here and here, so that when your grind lines are done, they meet in the middle, and you haven't gone way over here or haven't gone way over there. That's just a little tip for that. whenever he tells me we're going to do a knife, I'm going to make it, I think, a handling finishing video, because I think the two are kind of interrelated. The blade finish, if you want to polish it or sand it, or no matter how you want your finish to be a brush finish, you really should finish the blade just before you put the handles on it. Once you put those handles on it, you make it much more difficult to finish this area, especially now. In this one it wouldn't be too bad, your handles are way back here. But to finish this portion of the blade, if the handles come right up close to the plunge line, which they do in a lot of them, it really can make it difficult to sand, to polish in this area right in here. So, you know, your blade's done, it's ground, it's as fine as you can get it with the grinding wheel. Your handles are off, and now we're going to finish the blade. And we're going to do all the sanding, and then after we do that, we're going to put the handles on, clean up these areas in here, which can really be a lot of fun, especially down in here. After that, then I'm going to show you how to touch this back up. There's a few little tricks to do that, and just really make your knife look nice when you get it done. So that's about it for this time, and we will be talking to you again soon. We've got a lot of other stuff coming up. Still working on the sharpening videos. Probably going to be a little while on them. I want them to be right. It's like I say, it's going to be a 3-part series. Pretty in-depth. There's going to be a lot of information with those. There's other tests coming up. We've got some Kylie Harris knives coming up. Just a whole bunch of everything. So let me start cleaning up my mess here and get ready for work tomorrow. You guys take it easy, and we'll talk to you later.